Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Today I'll be discussing the importance of timely decision-making in the context of viral vector manufacturing. I'll be emphasizing the importance of quantifying your manufacturing scales requirements early on in the process and show how a manufacturing platform approach may offer a faster speed to market and reduced manufacturing risk. But first, I'd like to reflect on a phenomenon that's central to many of the technical and commercial decisions being made in this field today, and that is of speed. At a recent engagement of ours, a customer was quoted as saying that there are no silver medals in gene therapy. And of course, what he was really highlighting here was the importance of being first to market to secure the company's future success. Being second or third in a market where patient populations are smaller and commercialization risks bigger, it would be more challenging to convince financiers, patients, and prescribing doctors, for example, that the second therapy was better. Now, this rather simple statement highlights not only the importance of speed to market to a gene therapy company in this space today, but it also gets at the importance of timely decision-making and manufacturing readiness at the point of approval. And to put timing in a little bit more context, this is a high-level slide of only a few critical activities and milestones that need to be reached over the course of the therapeutic development process. And it will be clear to you that there are a number of points that touch on both the commercial and technical aspects of that development. Now, notwithstanding the important and necessary technical work that's required to prove patient safety and drug efficacy, it is also critical to the success of the business that key operational decisions are well informed, planned for, and executed upon by the time the drug is intended to be approved. And we see this idea already permeating through to a number of pre-market gene therapy companies today who have invested heavily in their future commercial manufacturing capabilities. And yet this approach is certainly not without risk. Committing large sums of capital early on in the development process is certainly not without risk. But not being commercially ready at the point of approval would certainly impact or influence the company's ability to capture the market share as soon as possible. And so the grand challenge, if you will, here is really having a high degree of confidence in your manufacturing readiness early on. And second, being able to find a way to compress the facility and equipment build stages such that you can delay the commitment of capital until such time as the risk-adjusted NPV, for example, is more favorable. And so the question should really be, how do we get manufacturing ready? So how do you ensure that you are manufacturing ready by the time you commercialize your product? How do you unravel some of these difficult questions, but more importantly, how do you do this at speed? And how do you assure yourself that you're paying due consideration to the long-term manufacturing and supply chain risks? I will offer that there are typically three main strategies that can be employed here. One is to project manage the entire process with the internal resources of the company. Questions around, do they have the required bandwidth? Are they employing the latest process thinking? And is there a deep and profound appreciation for the ongoing supply aspects are all critical questions that need to be asked when going down this path. Second is to outsource the entire process to third-party project management houses. And there are certainly a number of well-qualified third parties that A, have the necessary bandwidth, and B, the process knowledge to be able to construct these manufacturing solutions. But there is still potential that the manufacturer will still be left to manage any residual manufacturing and supply risks that have been carried through the project. And this is particularly evident when multiple vendors have been selected in the construction of that solution. And the problem is particularly amplified when problems need to be resolved and resolved quickly. And so the third The third option is for a single vendor to provide the entire manufacturing solution. The right partner will have a deep understanding of their own equipment and the know-how in order to be able to integrate them and construct these manufacturing solutions, but more importantly, also have the process knowledge to be able to scale your process and really craft a robust manufacturing solution around the process and the process needs. And Paul Biotech is one such provider where we have the knowledge and the internal capabilities to be able to support you from early phase clinical development right through to commercial scale manufacturing. And we really do this with three key pillars. The first pillar is our Accelerator Process Development Services, or PDS. And our PDS services team specialize in designing, optimizing, and transferring your process from preclinical to scalable GMP-ready manufacturing processes. And we do this with our established sites that we have in Westborough, Massachusetts, and Portsmouth in the UK, where we have BL2 grade suites that are equipped to support both adherent and suspension cell cultures. More importantly, our labs are staffed with experienced PhD and master's scientists, and many of whom have experience that range from monoclonal antibodies, vaccines, and in particular, cell and gene therapy manufacturing. And these teams really design the process with the end in mind. And that ensures that the solution that is constructed is tailored specifically to the process and the process needs, but more importantly, that long-term view starts to take shape and make sure that the manufacturing risks are reduced as much as possible, as early as possible. Our second pillar is how we've established standard bioprocessing platforms. And from the slide here, you can see that we've crafted a number of manufacturing solutions from monoclonal antibodies, AAV, and lentivirus in both adherent and suspension cell cultures, and most recently, adeno and oncolytic bioprocessing solutions. And these platforms address all of the unit operations required, including media and buffer preparation, as well as all the fluid handling components necessary. Importantly, these platforms also address the interconnecting fluid transfer manifolds, which oftentimes get overlooked during project execution, and yet are so vital to that process. And here we're showing an example of our AAV platforms, where you'll notice both adherent and suspension bioreactors feeding into a common downstream platform that we've created. Now, to be clear, we will be the first to admit that processes are unique and due consideration must be paid to their nuances. But the real value here in these platforms is that they provide a robust and proven starting point for all of our discussions with our customers. And the subject matter experts who crafted these platforms have experienced a wide variety of processes and have the deep knowledge and understanding where they can identify key areas in the manufacturing where A, they're consistent, and B, where they may not be. And this is reflected in how we've gone about crafting and designing our single-use consumables. And these parts span from media and buffer all the way to sterile filtration. And the flexibility that we've embedded in these designs really allows us then to tailor the standard components around the your unique process needs. And it's because of these platforms and because we've gone about and created a complete package of single-use parts that allows us to move the conversation much faster and much earlier on during the project execution. And because we truly understand that speed is so critical here. Moreover, these platforms reduce the manufacturing risk because they've been constructed with well-proven and commercial-grade technologies, which you may recognize already on the slide. And these platforms have formed the backbone of a few late-phase clinical as well as commercially available gene therapies today. The third pillar is really around our project management capabilities when it comes to delivering these integrated manufacturing solutions. And as we start to think about these platforms, we've developed a structured framework to work through with you to ensure we're asking the right questions and we're executing in the right order, all in the name of speed. And the slide I'm showing here today really focuses on the start, which we take great pride in, and what we call the process workshop. And it really starts off by discussing your goals, process, and manufacturing scale requirements. Then we start developing a mass balance before compiling a complete equipment list. Of course, if our PDS colleagues have been involved in developing your process and scaling your process, this is the point where they would provide that insight and that learning and allow the engineering teams to really refine the details of the mass balance and the equipment list. Now, using a 3D modeling tool, we're able then to help you visualize the equipment within the facility, and this really ensures that A, we make sure the equipment fits, but secondly, we can start getting appreciation for all of the constraints prior to formulating the most appropriate personnel and material flows. And once that's complete, we can start developing the process flow diagrams and start to build a realistic picture of all the interconnecting pieces of equipment that are required to make this process work. And it's really only at this stage where we start to design the single-use consumables. Having created a holistic picture of the process, we're now better able to understand the nuances and the considerations that the designs need to account for. And this really allows us to then start identifying common components and cross-referencing that with the standard consumables that we've already crafted, and really allows us to speed the design up much faster. The automation discussion really rounds out the process workshop, and this is where we formulate the best architecture based on the equipment that's required to manufacture your viral vector, but also have a keen understanding on the specific control requirements that either your company or your facility requires. And these pillars all come together under with the Pall Biotech Integrated Solutions offering. And we've really taken considerable effort here in making sure that our internal processes are aligned with your project lifecycle. And the deliverables you see shown here, and the select deliverables that are shown here will hopefully resonate with you and align with some of your milestones and internal decision making that's required to advance your project through the various stages of its life cycle. And to give you a sense of the robustness of our processes, I'd like to share a brief case study with you where a customer approached us with a 3-liter adeno process and wanted to partner with us in developing a full 200-liter suspension-based solution. With the expertise within our PDS services team, meant that we were able to scale the process from 3 liters to 200 liters within 6 weeks. And that really is the power of our Accelerator process development services and the expertise within it. In parallel to this, we were able to bring in our subject matter experts from our past product engineering and laboratory services teams, and they were able to deliver a complete manufacturing proposal that included all of the hardware, all of the single-use designs, process flow diagrams, and mass balance within the remaining 2 weeks. And so what we're showing here is that the streamlined nature of the integrated solutions and the way in which we're able to leverage all of the internal resources within Pall Biotech, we were able to deliver a complete manufacturing proposal within 8 weeks. And the speed with which we did this was only possible because of our process development services, our robust bioprocessing platforms that have been proven time and again, and the project management rigor we apply to these processes. In conclusion, thinking about manufacturing early on in process development is the critical first step in supporting speed to market ambitions of gene therapy clients today. Leveraging a platform solutions approach really does enable faster speed to market, but more importantly, ensures robustness of the manufacturing process. And lastly, making use of a single vendor like Paul Biotech, capable of providing a complete integrated solution, can really help you scale from early clinical to commercial manufacturing. And that certainly leads to significant strategic benefits like speed to market and manufacturing readiness. Thank you for your time.